I'm Victoria, and this is What Victoria Read. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It is the 5th of February and I haven't finished a book yet, but I thought I would take advantage of the fact that I am in my filming setup to open this vlog where I look like kind of a human, a tired human, but I don't look like a thumb. So I thought I would open it here. If you've just watched, not just watched, but if you've watched my January wrap up, which I will put in the description, you will see that I am in exactly the same place because it's about 30 seconds since I pressed stop on the filming for my January wrap up. But yeah, I haven't got a book that I finished, but I have had one that's come in, so I thought I'd chat to you about that. So I forgot that I pre-ordered The Gifts That Bind Us by Carolyn O'Donoghue, which is the second book after, wow, I'm really prepared today, Hidden Gifts. So Hidden Gifts was the first one and this is the second one, and I really enjoyed Hidden Gifts to the point where I was about halfway through and I pre-ordered the second one and promptly forgot that I'd done that because that was a couple of months ago. And yeah, I can't really tell you much about it because it's a sequel, but it's YA and it's sort of witchy, sort of tarot based, stuff happens. I really enjoyed the first one and yeah, I'm really excited to get to this, and it's also got the most beautiful cover. It's the 12th of February and what a week! And I know I say that every single time I sit down to film a clip. Also, my fringe is doing weird things today and I've tried to blow dry it straight and it's just not, this is just how I look today. So yeah, I had a really challenging week at work, shocker. And actually I was thinking about it last night and like nothing particularly bad happened, it's just accumulation. It's the end of term, so I've got 5 sets of end of term assessments to mark. Here comes the cat. She's got her collar on for the first time today and she's not very happy about it. You can come up here for a minute. Look. Ooh. And there she goes. Part carrot, parrot, which would make her a carrot. Anyway, stop waffling. Yeah, so end of term marking, and we had year 9 parents evening on Thursday, which meant that I was at school until about 7:30, having been there since about 7 in the morning. And I've had formal observations because I'm still training, and it's all just like this drip. And suddenly last night I was having a sob in the bath. So there we go. Got one more week until half term, and this weekend we don't have Charlie. We're taking grandma out for her birthday lunch. She was 92 this week. I will see if I can get some clips, not of her because she won't want to be on film, but like of the day. So we're gonna go meet her and take her out for a lovely lunch, and then that is the extent of our plans. I've got some laundry to do. I need to do a bit of like bookmin and sort Booktube out and stuff, but I was supposed to bring homework. I was supposed to bring marking home. Is she now scratching herself behind me? Yes. I was supposed to bring marking home and I didn't because I just desperately need a break. So that's the week. I finished 1 book. I have hauled 4 more and I received a gift. So let's start with the books that have come in. So I was sent all of these by Book Break in exchange for an honest review. So thank you very much, Book Break. Molly, do not jump up at my camera. She's seriously eyeing it up. She wants to get up on the... You quite finished. Hi. Do not jump on my... Oh, okay. She's now up there. Also, this isn't straight. This is going really well. We love how professional I am at this. Is that straight? Oh, anyway, nobody cares. Just want to see the books. So, yes, I am part of the Book Break Insider program, I think that's what it's called, and it means that very nicely every single month I get an email saying, do you want some books? And apparently when I got the email in December I said yes please. So these popped through. These were actually January's books, but obviously because of Christmas and stuff they're a little bit late, which is fine, and I can't really remember much about any of these, but I will be reading them shortly, so you'll be seeing them. So this is The Club by Ellery Lloyd. They are a husband and wife duo who wrote People Like Her, which came out last year, and I really enjoyed that one. I think I gave it either a 3.5 or a 4, which was their debut, and then this is the second one, and it says the opening of Island Home is tipped to be the biggest celebrity event of the decade. But things are far from perfect at home, and with a long-suffering staff struggling to satisfy spiralling demands, secrets at risk of being exposed, and careers at stake, the weekend slowly turns deadly, because in a world where your reputation is everything, you do anything to keep it, which looks very exciting. When is this out? This is obviously just the proof copy. It doesn't say actually when it's out. Oh, 31st of March, so next month. That's cool. I'm not sure what the actual cover will look like, but that's the proof. Then I also got We Had to Remove This Post, which is a very little one, and it's about being a content moderator. So to be a content moderator is to see how humanity at its worst, but Kaylee needs money. That's why she takes a job working for a social media platform whose name she isn't allowed to mention. Her task, reviewing offensive videos and pictures, rants and conspiracy theories, and deciding which needs to be removed, But soon the job seems to change them all, shifting their worlds in alarming ways. How long before the moderator's own morals bend and flex under the weight of what we see? So this sounds really interesting, and that is by Hannah Bovowitz. And when are you out? So this is obviously, again, a proof copy. Does it actually say when that's out? It doesn't, I don't think. Soon, I would have thought. But I will be reading that shortly, hopefully. It's nice and short. Then we've got The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen, which I'm really excited about. That's the actual cover, I think. That's the proof, the front of the proof. I really enjoyed The Other Wife. His Other Wife, something about wives. It's on my reread TBR a few years ago, and then The Wife Between Us, that was it. This comes out on the 3rd of March, and then I haven't enjoyed their other books as much, but Taylor Jenkins Reid has blurbed it saying it's propulsive and thrilling. It grabbed me from the first page and didn't let go. A page turner that will keep you guessing until the very end. And they write like quite easy to read, very thrillery, twisty books. So it says, Marissa and Matthew Bishop seem like the golden couple until Marissa is unfaithful, but she wants to repair things for the sake of their 8-year-old son and because she loves her husband. Enter Avery Chambers. Avery Chambers is a therapist who lost her professional license. Still, it doesn't stop her from counselling those in crisis, though they have to adhere to unorthodox methods, and the Bishops are desperate. As soon as the Bishops walk through Avery's door, all three are set on a collision course that will change their lives forever, because the biggest secrets in the room are still hidden, and it's no longer simply a marriage that's in danger, and it just sounds really intriguing. So I think that'll be a fun, easy read. Now the cat's coming back, she's going to... Yep. And then finally, The Favour by Nora Murphy, who I don't think I've ever met before. And it says it's a stunning new voice in domestic suspense. So it says Leah and McKenna have never met, although they have parallel lives. Driving past McKenna's house one night, Leah sees what she knows all too well from her own marriage. McKenna's perfect husband is not what he seems. Leah understands better than anyone that what's inside a home could be more dangerous than what's outside. She decides to keep an eye out for McKenna until one night she intervenes. Leah and McKenna have never met, but they will, and this looks really intriguing. When is this out? Does it say on the thing? Oh, that's not out till June, so I won't read that for a little bit. Oh, glad I've just thrown it over my shoulder. I won't read that for a little bit, but I will get to it, and I'm really intrigued by this cover. And then they also, occasionally they send me like little bits of swag, which is very exciting. And in this one was this Picador tote bag, 50 years of Picador. So that was very nice. Thank you very much for that book break. That cheered up a particularly rubbish Tuesday. And then the gift that I sent the gift that I was sent, I honestly can't talk, I've done far too much talking this week, was this huge bag, like much bigger than my giant head, of Pick a Mix, which was from Marianne at Cover Books, and she said to help you get through the reports from Marianne, and honestly I had a little cry when I opened this. So thank you so much. I've already thanked you separately by the time this video is up, but thank you so much. That really did make my day. And yes, it will definitely help with all of the paperwork and all of the marking, but we're not thinking about marking or paperwork today. We're going to have a couple of days off. And then finally, because I've already been talking for 7 minutes, the book that I finished was His Bloody Project by Graham McCrae Burnett. This was the first pick from Harry's TBR, and it was also from my reread TBR, and because of Harry's recommendation I picked up the audiobook on Scribd, which I would really recommend. This one, I don't want to say too much about it. It was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize in 2016, and it basically tells the story. We have a 17-year-old boy called Roddy who is living in the Scottish Highlands in 1869, and he commits a triple murder, and it's him talking to you from his prison about his life, what he did, and how he kind of got into that situation. And then halfway through, the book turns into something else, and I'm not going to say any more than that. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 5 stars the first time round, and I did wonder going back into it if my rating would drop, because when I first read it, I think I read it in 2016 or 2017. It was a book my brother gave me for Christmas or birthday or something. And when I first read it, I hadn't read that much literary fiction, which is what this is. And I gave it 5 stars, and I was wondering if I gave it 5 stars because it was a present from Ben, because sometimes I can get a bit swayed that way. So I was wondering if I was still going to enjoy it as much, and I really did. I think the audiobook really helped. I don't think this is for everybody. It's very slow paced, it's very character driven. I think had I not read it on audiobook, it might have been a 4-star or 4.5, but as it was, I'm giving it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for choosing it for me, Harry. It was a good start to what is turning out to be quite a slow reading month so far. It's the 15th of February and I'm jumping on purely just because I realised that I look like this. But my husband is an idiot and has just made a joke that I didn't get for a full 30 seconds because I'm so exhausted, my brain isn't working. I was basically talking about the cover for Frostheart, which I'm about to start, and I don't know if I can do this and hold it up at the same time. I didn't know what this is called, where, you know, there's like a flap on the front cover or whatever, because he used to work in packaging. He's just sat here looking all smug. He used to work in packaging, so I thought he might know. And I was like, it's not a French flap, I'm not sure what it is. And he went, oh, do you want to tell the story? He doesn't even want to speak. He's so rightfully ashamed of himself. And he was like, oh yeah, I think it's called a holy, was it? Religious. No, a religious. I think it's called a religious flap. And I was like, oh really? He was like, yeah, because it's holy. It's holy. I might be getting a divorce now. Stay tuned. It's the 19th of February and it's half term. Very happy about it. Yeah, so as you saw from the clips, we had a lovely time with Grandma last weekend. Just Gary and I took her out for lunch for her birthday and just had a little mooch around her town, and it was lovely. Then had, as expected, a super busy week. And then Thursday we get an email at about 3 o'clock saying, oh, we're gonna have to close the school tomorrow because we've got a red weather alert. So that was the thing that happened. I don't think, well, the last time there was a storm this big was in 87, which is the year I was born, and I'm not sure when in 87 it was. I think it might have been August, or September, because I think I remember my mum talking about having a newborn baby, me, during that storm. So in my living memory, I've never had a red weather alert. Oh, you can see my ironing board today, lucky you. Yeah, so that was the thing. And then yesterday, taught from home, had an admin day. As you saw from the clips, Molly was very helpful. And we had a massive storm. It was very loud. It was quite scary at times. There's a street lamp out there that was like doing this. And it's like, that's not how that's supposed to move. We've been really lucky. We've actually come through it unscathed. I mean, some of the pots in our garden have had a little bit of a trip down the garden and are probably cracked and stuff, but we've not had any roof tiles off. Didn't have any damage to our cars, so we've been really lucky. So that was yesterday. My stomach growling. This weekend we've got Charlie. We are going back to Grandma's today because she's got some DIY jobs that the boys are going to help her out with, and I'm sure she'll have found some stuff for me to do as well. I can't do DIY, but it's one of those things where like the boys will get stuck in together, and I'm sure Grandma will find things for me to do. She usually does. So we're going to do that this morning, and then my car is currently in for its MOT, so obviously by the time it goes up it will be done, but I am very much of the crossed fingers this today. So that's in, and then tomorrow we're just going to do the usual Sunday chores and chill. And then next week is half term, and it's the only school holiday this year where I don't have Charlie at all. And I'm planning to read, relax, film. I want to bulk film like the last bit of my February content and then all of March. And I am going into work on Tuesday to mark books, and I felt really weirdly guilty about that for a while, but fact is I still haven't found a way to keep on top of my teaching, assessments and marking all at the same time. And I'm trying to cut myself some slack because we're only 3 terms into my first full year as a teacher. But if I just leave it, it's just going to get worse. So I'm going to go in on Tuesday and have like a power day. I can be there 9 till 3 when the site's open, and just power through as much as I can. I will only do that one day. Like if I don't get through it all on Tuesday, then I will obviously spend the first week back doing that in the evenings, which I'll probably have to do stuff anyway. It's a whole thing. There's just so much to think about. But basically I'm going to go in on my own. There's no IT because they're upgrading the Wi-Fi, which is great because there's nothing to distract me on the computers. It will just be books. I will obviously like take YouTube and stuff to watch while I'm there, because otherwise I'll go slightly mad in that level of silence. But that's what I'm doing Tuesday. But other than that, here comes a cat. That's Jack. Can you see him? Oh, there he is. Monday is going to be a total relax, do nothing but read and chill day. Tuesday I'm going into school. Wednesday I'm having lunch with my lovely mother-in-law, and I also need to mark my year 10 papers, which will probably be on Wednesday. He's just down here. And then Thursday I'm going to film all day, and then I'm having my hair cut. And then Friday Gary is off as well, and we are going to the Pig because the lovely Leanne and Harry gifted me a voucher for a 3-course meal there when I passed my PGCE. So we're going to use that and have a lovely time. If he gets in the list tray now, I'm literally giving up on life. No. And then we're going to have a chill weekend. So yeah, it's going to be a really nice mix of stuff to do and relaxing and all the rest of it. Anyway, I've already been talking for 4 minutes. I've not even talked about books. So I've finished 2 and I've been gifted 1. So the one I was gifted, look how cute this is. So it turns out that the 14th February, Valentine's Day, is International Book Giving Day, which I didn't know about. But my wonderful boss at work wrapped up books for every single member of staff and put them in our pigeonhole, which was just the cutest thing. So look how like it's so cute. So it says, here's an adventure, what awaits behind these closed mysterious gates. Ooh, I'm gonna blatantly use this as a bookmark. Whom shall I meet? Where shall I go? Beyond the lovely land I know. Above the sky, across the sea. What shall I learn and feel and be? Open strange doors to good or ill. I hold my breath a moment still. Before the magic of your look. What shall you do to me, oh book? It's so cute. So every single member of staff had one. Now, I suspect that this is The Switch by Beth O'Leary, because that's what it says there. But we will see. So I thought I'd open this here. Let's try and get the wrapping off. And even if it is because I've read The Switch, I don't have a copy on my shelf because the copy that I read was an ARC, and I've got this weird thing where I don't like keeping ARCs on my shelf. Yeah, it is. Ah, that's so nice. So yes, copy of the Switch by Beth O'Leary, which was one of my favourite books of 2020. It's just so lovely. And yeah, that's cute. So that will go onto my shelves. How lovely. And then I finished 2 books. They were both 5 stars. The first of those was Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters, and this was one of Harry's picks. And who gifted me this? I can't remember. Oh yeah, it was Laura. Thank you so much for this, Laura. She sent this to me last year. I think it was. Yes, it was. She's talking about the end of term, so I think it was last year. When Harry chose this, I was like, a little bit of me was like, great, because I read or tried to read The Little Stranger by Sarah Waters last year, and I DNF'd it at 250 pages in. It's like a 500-page book because I was bored senseless. So when this one came up in Harry's Picks, I was like, okay, let's give it a go. And man, it just swept me up. And it's probably was 4 or 5 days since I finished reading this, and I'm still thinking about it. This is Victorian London. We are following, what was her name? Nan? Yes. Nan, who lives by the coast, and she sees a girl called Kitty, yes, who is performing on stage dressed as a boy, and she becomes really obsessed with her. She ends up meeting her, they become friends, and then Kitty moves to London and asks Nan to go with her as her dresser. And it kind of goes from there, and it's about Nan discovering herself, discovering kind of an alternative London, and stuff happens along the way. And I loved it. There's so many different experiences in here. There are different sexual experiences, different genders, there are different gender expressions, and the whole thing is just so like sumptuously written. If you like historical fiction, I would recommend this. If you like queer fiction, I would also recommend this. And even if you don't like historical fiction but you like queer fiction, I'd still recommend this. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's definitely got some naughty bits in it, so it's definitely some smut, I think that's what you'd call it these days, in here. But there was something so gorgeous about it. I couldn't put it down. When I wasn't reading it, I was thinking about it. And like I said, the characters are still on my mind now. Like, Nan feels like such a real person. And she's not perfect. She makes some really rubbish and horrible decisions along the way. And you're just like, what are you doing? But you're so on her side that you're kind of, yeah, like I said, you're just kind of along for the ride with her. And it was absolutely beautiful. I loved it. I am very hesitant to pick up any other Sarah Waters though, because I've loved one and DNF'd another. So based on that, if you've read more Sarah Waters, if you can recommend me one you'll think, based on the fact that I love this, but The Little Stranger, I was genuinely bored to tears. So yeah, I don't know where to go from here. And she's got so many books. I don't know. It's also really like beautifully floppy. And I didn't crack the spine. Win. And then the other book that I've read this week is Are Prisons Obsolete by Angela Y. Davis. I listened to this on audiobook via Scribed, and lovely Amy from Amy Myers sent this to me in my snack box, because we did a snack swap, which I'll leave that video in the description, and she put this in. And it's one that I'd heard quite a bit about, especially in the last couple of years. I think it was first published in 2003. And it is what it says on the tin, is this very short book or pamphlet maybe. I'm not sure what the length thing is for book versus pamphlet, but it's just her discussing about whether or not prisons should be abolished completely. And she looks at the history of prisons, what they were originally supposed to be, and how they have morphed into the system that we have today. It's obviously very America-centred, but she does touch briefly on British prisons and European prisons. Wow, I need to eat before we go out. But I thought this was really interesting. It's really accessible. It brings up a lot of questions, and yeah, I think if you've even considered reading this book, I would just recommend that you pick it up. It's really short. It's like 100 pages, 110 pages or something. The audiobook on Scribed was less than 4 hours, which I would also recommend. The narrator did a really good job. So if this is something that interests you, or even if it isn't, I think it's definitely worth picking this one up. It's the 23rd of February and I have got the school holiday lurgy. Great. It's not COVID, I have checked extensively. I feel rough, but this happens every time because I kind of forget that we do like basically 7-week marathons of really intense work and pressure and physical effort and mental effort and blah blah blah, and then every time I stop I always feel rubbish. I was going to swear then, but we don't swear on this channel. Yeah, I end up feeling pants. And I don't know why it surprises me every time. Clearly I'm not that quick of a learner. Monday, as you saw, I had a very relaxing day. It was beautiful. I slept in, I didn't sleep in because I don't sleep late, but I stayed in bed late and just had a laze and a read and a scroll on my phone, and it was lovely. And then spent all day on the sofa. I ran myself a bath. I love a morning bath. For some reason it feels really decadent every time I do it because there's never any time the rest of the time. Ran myself a lovely morning bath and then spent all day on the sofa just reading and eating, having cat cuddles, and then in the evening I made the best macaroni cheese I've ever made. I will put the recipe in the description of this video. It's Nadia from Bake Off. I saw it on Gogglebox randomly. The people on Gogglebox were watching her make it because it's got some slightly controversial ingredients in it. But I thought I'd give it a try, and man, it was so good. It was so good. It was like restaurant level macaroni cheese. So that's going to become a regular in our house. Although not too regular because it does have a whole block of cheese in it and condensed milk and stuff. So anyway, enjoyed that. Then yesterday I went to school, which is why I didn't film any clips of me during the day yesterday. I don't think I filmed any clips at all yesterday, did I? I went to school because I have so much marking to do that I had to go in. I was there from 9 till 3 and I marked 4 sets of books, which is half of my marking load. But at least I've made a start, and then I've got 4 more sets I'm gonna have to try and fit in somewhere next week when we're back at school. I'm kind of tempted to go back into school tomorrow, but I also really need a rest. It's that real difficult balance thing. But yeah, that's what happened yesterday, and I had quite bad anxiety yesterday. I don't know if it's because I went back into school, so I'm thinking about all the stuff that needs to happen next term. My brain was kind of on a spiral, or if it's just part of the recovery process at the end of a term. I really don't know, but my anxiety was quite high last night. So again, had a lovely hot bath, and Gary and I curled up on the sofa and watched This Is Going to Hurt, the TV series by Adam Kay, which I really enjoyed. It's a lot darker than the book, but I feel like it's got loads of really important things to say about the NHS and about what it's like to work under that kind of pressure. And quite honestly, it made my job look super easy. I'm really put it in perspective. So yeah, we enjoyed that. And then today I've woken up and I just feel bleh. I've had like what I've called before like an almost cold for a couple of weeks, where I feel like a little bit bunged up, a little bit snuffly, my throat is a little bit sore, but it's like not enough to be a full-blown cold, thankfully. And I'm thinking it's because I'm anti-backing my hands all the time and wearing a mask when I'm around other people. But today I just woke up feeling a bit of but I need to go and collect the food shop. And then I'm having lunch with my lovely mother-in-law. There is an Italian restaurant that we really enjoy that we used to go to like once a month before I was a teacher, but like everything else since I've become a teacher, it's become a school holiday thing only. So we're going to go and have a nice lazy lunch this afternoon, which will be lovely. And then I've got marking to do this afternoon. I need to mark my year 10 end of term assessments. So yes, I'm having a nice week, just feeling a little bit bleh. But I have finished 3 books in that time, which I finished all of them on Monday, to be fair, but then I couldn't bother to film a clip. The first one was one of Harry's picks, was the #1 Ladies Detective Agency by Alexander McCall Smith. I bought this when I was in Wales with Steph in August, yes, and I picked it up because I've really been enjoying the #2 Cats Detection Agency, the author of whom I can't remember right now, but I've talked about it before. I wanted to read the kind of original material that is loosely based on. And this was published, I think, originally in 1998, yes. And we're following, I can't remember what her name is, we're following a lady detective in Botswana, a lady who decides to set up her own detective agency, and this is the first in a really long series. It's got like 20 books in it, I think. Oh, my back is shifting already. Let's try and sit slightly differently. No, that's not gonna work. Ooh, professional booktuber. Yeah, and this is the first in a very long series, and it was okay. I mean, Harry, oh my gosh, I can't sit like this, hang on, let's fold my leg in. Ooh, nearly knocked you over. Okay, let's try that. Oh my gosh, I have got not very much space between the bed and the wall. Okay, so Harry recommended the audiobook for this. I couldn't find that on Scribe, so I obviously went with the physical copy. I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. I didn't love it as much as I was hoping to. It didn't give me that kind of like cozy mystery vibes, and it felt more like a collection of short stories. There is like one story that threads all the way through, but other than that, it felt like short stories of like, oh, this person's lost this and this person's lost that. And I just didn't really connect with it. And also, like I said, this was written in 1998, but I feel there's something kind of intrinsically uncomfortable with reading a book with a black female main character that's written by a white man. So I don't know if that was playing into my reading experience, but I'm glad I read it because now I can say I've read it. But I won't be going any further with the series. It wasn't quite for me, so that was a 3-star. Then I had finished this gorgeous book. I mean, I'm obsessed with these covers. They are just stunning. And, you know, and the map, you know, oh, beautiful. So this is A Psalm of Storms and Silence by Roseanne A. Brown. Why am I so rubbish with author names? I buddy read this with the wonderful Olivia Savannah from Olivia's Catastrophe, and I really enjoyed our buddy read. Sorry, Olivia, I was so rubbish. We were reading 2 chapters a day, and quite frequently I would get really behind and I have to catch up at weekends. So Olivia was very kind and very patient, as she always is. So thank you for that, Olivia. Thank you for reading this for me. This is the sequel, mine's slightly bit, to A Song of Race and Ruin, which I read last year and really thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a real surprise in enjoyment for me because it's fantasy. It's West African inspired fantasy, and in the first book we have got Karina, who is about to become sultana when her mother dies or is murdered, and she needs the heart of a king to bring her mother back from the dead. She realizes that she's actually not up to the job and she wants her mother back, and the only way to do that is to get the heart of a king. And then we also have Malik, whose little sister has been kidnapped by a demon, and the only way to get her back is to get the heart of a queen. So you can kind of see where it's going, and they are on this collision course. And obviously that's the first book. I can't really talk about the events of the second book, but we are back in that world. And I didn't enjoy this as much as the first one. I gave the first one 4 stars, but it was a high 4 stars. This I've also given 4 stars, but it's a low 4 stars, if that makes any sense. I don't do half stars, and there was so much about it that I enjoyed that I couldn't bring myself to give it 3. So I rounded up. I think it's realistically a 3.5, but I can't deal with the half star situation. So yeah, this one is West African inspired, and one of the many things I really liked about it is that there are loads of words and kind of practices in this that uses language that isn't white or like European centered, and there's no explanation for it. It's just dropped in and we are expected to kind of get on board, and I really liked that because there's absolutely no reason why authors should have to explain cultural words like that. I just liked how that was done. There's also a lot of mental health rep in here, and I will read you the content warning from the author in a minute, which we also love. And it's just kind of the depiction of trauma, particularly for black boys and black men, but also black joy and moments where the characters are triumphant and good things are happening, and I just really enjoyed that. And I think for me the downsides were the pacing. The pacing felt really slow. This is 500 odd pages. I just didn't think it needed to be that long. It's also quite repetitive. We alternate chapters between Karina and Malik, and I really liked that. But one of the things it was doing, like at the beginning of a Karina chapter, so we've just had a Malik chapter, they're not long chapters, then we come back to Karina and then there would basically be a recap of the previous Karina chapter, and I was like, we really don't need this is just taking up space. Oh, I'm gonna have to move again. This is clearly not a position to film in when I've got several books to talk about. Yeah, so it was a little bit repetitive, which I didn't love. There were also a couple of really obvious tropes, and I was like, can we not? And then we did. So I didn't love that. And there was also quite a major storyline from the first novel, which obviously I can't talk about without spoilers, that just didn't go anywhere in this one. It just fizzled out really easily, so that wasn't great. But there's a whole load of different rep in here. We've got a non-binary character, we've got queer characters in this society. Is perfectly normal and like not even a conversation to have women dating women, men dating men, non-binary people, all of that kind of stuff. It's just part of things, which obviously is great to see. And yeah, it didn't quite capture me as much as the first one. And I feel like you might see both of these books, beautiful as they are, in an unhaul soon, because I just don't see how I'm going to read it again. But I just want to read this note from the author. So it says, please note this book depicts issues of self-harm, fantasy violence, emotional and physical abuse, anxiety and panic attacks, grooming, and suicidal ideation. I've done my best to approach these topics with sensitivity, but if you feel this kind of content may be triggering, please be aware. And we absolutely love a book with a content warning from the author. So yeah, I feel like she's an author that I will definitely read her next book from, because this is her second book. Obviously, A Song of Race and Ruin was her first book, so this is her second, and I feel like she's an author with loads of promise, because some of it was so stunningly written. There are a couple of scenes that are like so tender and beautiful. So yeah, I will definitely keep track of her and read more from her in the future. And then the third book that I finished was Frostheart by Jamie Littler. This was sent to me by the lovely Mo at Paperback Mo at Christmas. This was a Harry pick. They chose it because of the Yeti on the front. Always a solid choice for why we're choosing books. And this book has been all over BookTube for the last couple of years, along with, I think it's got 2 sequels now. And I know that Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin loves these books and really champions them. And this was so much fun. So this is set in a world of snow and ice, basically, and we kind of get the idea that it's somewhere in the future, because they talk about the time before and technology that people used to have that looks a lot like our own. So I feel like it's set in the future, but it's not explicit. And we are following, oh my gosh, what's his name? It's called, we're following Ash, who is living in this really secluded stronghold. His parents have, before, like when he was a baby, disappeared into the snow, and he's kind of left with his guardian, who is this very grumpy looking chap here. And he has a power that he shouldn't have, basically. And one day that power is discovered, and he ends up leaving the settlement with his Yeti and boarding the Frostheart, which is this ship, basically, of adventures. And he goes off on this adventure to try and find his parents. And I just love this. I gave this 5 stars. It was, did I give it 5 stars? No, I gave it 4 stars. I gave it 4 stars, not 5. It was fun and cute, and it's got loads of great conversations about being who you are. There's a lot of rep in it. I didn't quite connect with it emotionally as other people have, but this is Jamie Littler's debut. He also illustrated the whole thing, which I just like. Some people are just ridiculously talented because it's illustrated. It's got these beautiful illustrations all the way through it. Let's see if I can find one that's not spoilery. Okay, look how beautiful that is. I didn't quite connect to it on an emotional level, so I couldn't give it 5 stars, because for me 5 stars are like these books that like rip your heart out and stomp on them. But I feel like he has the potential to do that to me, so I've put the second book onto my TBR, and we'll see when I get to it how I feel about it. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It was very cute, it was very fun, and I would definitely recommend it. It's the 24th of February, and we seem to be having every single season in the space of about 15 minutes at the moment. We have had bright sunshine, as it is at the moment, so I've got windows open, so if you can hear background noise, sorry about that. We've had hail, we've had driving winds, we've had rain. It's all very confusing. As you've seen from the clips, Moles is now outside. It was a bit scary, but as I've said before, like, people make individual decisions for their pets, but we feel like, unless there's a medical reason, then Kat should be allowed to go outside, and she's been ready for about a week or so. We've only delayed her because of the storms, but today, well, I say that, the weather was nice when we originally let her out, and then about 5 minutes later it was hailing, but she doesn't seem to care. She was a little bit hesitant to go out at first, and then she saw Jack go through the cat flap, and I think that kind of helped her realise what she was supposed to do. And yeah, she's just been out exploring and running around the garden, and then disappearing because she goes like over the wall or whatever, and then she comes back in a few minutes later shouting because she's wet and cold. But she seems to be enjoying it, and yeah, it's just been really nice to see. I had a lovely lunch with my mother-in-law yesterday, but I just feel a bit mentally blah And it's just recovery from last term, and also my brain is starting to think about next term, which led me to some insomnia last night, which doesn't happen to me very often, but when it does, it's obviously super annoying. So I've not had much sleep, as you can probably tell from my appearance, but I've spent this morning marking year 10, and actually they did pretty well. The ones that did quite well. I've only got about half of them who have, because of COVID and various end of term stuff that happened, so I have to catch the rest up. But the ones that did it, I'm pleased with, so that's nice. And I've got one book that I finished yesterday and an ARC that arrived. So the book that I finished is The Age of Witches by Louisa Morgan. This is one of Harry's picks. They wanted me to read this because they were interested in the witch rep. I can't really talk to that because I'm not in voices, but I really enjoy this genre of books, and this was a really good one. I gave it 4 stars. It's very much like Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman, or Alex E. Harrow. And actually there's at the back of this edition, you've got the first chapter of the 10,000 Doors of January, which I haven't actually read. I've read Alex E. Harrow's other book, which this moment in time I cannot remember what it's called. I also read the first one. It's not a series, but I read A Secret History of Witches by Louisa Morgan last year and really enjoyed it. And it's not a series, but it's kind of a similar vibe. In this one we are following, what is her name? Annis, who is it's 19 something, it's about to be the 19th century, I think. Yeah, it's 1890. Here comes Moles. Little savage. Hey, been outside? Hi. You coming? No. Big tail, all puffy. So it's 1890 in New York, and we are following 3 women of the Bishop family. So we're following Annis, who is about to turn 18, and her stepmother wants to take her to London to find her husband. We also get the perspective of Harriet, who is her great aunt, and we're following Frances, who is the stepmother, and then we've also got James, who is the man that Annis is being taken to England for. And it kind of goes from there. I don't want to get too much into it, but it's very much about witchcraft. It's about natural magic. It's about what happens if you give in to the power of dark magic, and it's about love and finding yourself. And I really enjoyed this. It was one of those books that I just kind of sank into. Like I said, I've given it 4 stars. I think it's quite slow paced, which isn't always my bag. I didn't love the very end. There's something that happens at the very end. I was like, not loving that. But overall, I enjoyed my time. I will definitely read more. The next one is on the back here. It's called The Witch's Kind. I definitely want to read that. Oh, she's having a snack. She's a very hungry girl now that she's out and about. And yeah, it was a good one. If you like things, like I said, like Alice Hoffman or Alex E. Harrow, I would recommend checking out Louisa Morgan, because that was a good one. And then I received an ARC yesterday from Book Break, and I, for the life of me, cannot remember if I requested this or if it came unsolicited. I probably requested it because they don't usually send stuff unsolicited, but it's the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. And apparently it's a TikTok sensation with over 15 million views. I don't have TikTok because I feel like I'm too old for TikTok. Not commenting on anyone else that's on it, but I feel like my soul is too old for TikTok. And it says, the world's best magicians accept the opportunity of a lifetime. 6 are chosen, only 5 will walk away. And this comes out in March 2022. It doesn't say specifically when, which is always a little bit irritating because I like to have a specific date. But it sounds like, 3rd of March. Take it back and apologise. Very cool cover. It kind of sounds very dark academia kind of vibes. So yeah, we will at some point pick up a TikTok sensation and give it a go. It's the 26th of February and I'm having a filming day today. As you can see, I'm in my sit down video filming setup. Gary and I had such a lovely day yesterday. We went to the Pig in Bath for lunch. I can't remember if I said this in the previous clip. I should really start watching my previous clips before I film new ones. Jack's also doing zoomies. But we went to the Pig in Bath, which is our favourite place to go because the lovely Leanne and Harry sent me a gift voucher when I passed my PGCE. I feel like I've already said this in a vlog. I've probably already said this. But yeah, we had a fantastic time, as you saw from the clips. And then we came home, just had a really lovely, lazy afternoon. And today it's Saturday and I'm filming. I've got 5 videos to film, so it's quite a lot. Some of them will already be up by the time I post this. So I'm about to film my favourite things, which will be up. Jack is now doing pouncing on stuff over here. Should probably get rid of him, or try, before I film more videos. So I'm gonna do my favourite things. I need to film my March TBR, my non-TBR TBR, which will also be up. I'm also gonna do a tag. I wanna do, what are you doing? What else am I doing? Oh, a bookshelf tour and recommending some non-fiction. So the last 3 will be coming later in March. The others will be up and I will put them in the description of this video. But I have also finished a book, and then a book arrived literally seconds after I filmed my last clip. But that's how it goes. Now he's having a scratch. Sorry, guys. So the book that I finished is If I Had Your Face by Frances Cha. This I was buddy reading, or am buddy reading, with Charlotte from, I was going to say Books and Bargains, but she's now changed her name to Desperately Seeking Charlotte, which will always be linked in the description as ever. This was a buddy read, and we both bought copies, or she had a copy and then she bought me a copy in Oxford. I can't quite remember. Jack, wait, thank you, not right now. The reality of trying to film with cats. Yeah, and this, I finished it yesterday, and I've given it 4 stars, and I'm quite honestly don't have any idea how to explain this book to you. I enjoyed it. There is almost no plot. We're in South Korea, and we're following 4 different women. So we've got Kayuri, and I apologise if I'm pronouncing these wrong, a beautiful room salon girl paid to entertain wealthy businessmen after hours. Miho, an artist whose life becomes enmeshed with the offspring of the super wealthy elite. Ara, a hairstylist whose obsession with a K-pop star leads her to violent extremes, and Wanna, their neighbour, pregnant with a child who she can't afford. And it's just kind of a look at their lives, and a few things do happen, but like I said, it's mostly character based rather than plot. I really enjoyed this. There was something kind of quietly powerful about the writing. It's Frances Cha's debut novel, and I will definitely look for more from her, but it was odd. I'm still not quite sure what I think of it. I also started Pew last night, which I should finish before the end of the month, and that's also quite an odd one. Still not sure what I think of that. But anyway, I gave this 4 stars. I did enjoy it, and as always, enjoyed buddy reading with Charlotte. And then the book that came through was Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. This was sent to me by Chloe at Chloe Reads Books. She was unhauling it. Saw it in her recent unhaul video, which I will also put in the description of this video. Always enjoy her unhauls. And it's kind of one that I've been like kind of interested in for a while. Graphic novel. It looks quite cute and quite an easy read, and so when I saw she was getting rid of it, I sent her a message and said, could I have that please? And she very kindly sent this to me, so thank you so much, Chloe. And as always, she put like a cute little note in. Yeah, so I've got this one to add to my ever-growing book collection. And those are most of the books I read in the month of February. So it's now the 5th of March, and I'm just jumping in to wrap up the wrap up. I've got 3 more books to talk to you about that I finished before the end of the month, and then my stats. So let's go fairly quickly. The first book that I finished was Ace of Spades by Farida Abike Imedi. I'm hoping I've said that right. I did look it up. But I loved this. This is a YA thriller, and so often when people say YA thriller, my brain just switches off immediately because I've never really found any that were that thrilling. This was amazing. This was a real slow burn. After about the first 50 pages, I was like, yeah, this is good. I think it's going to be about 3-star. And by the end, I could barely put it down. It was a definite 5. So we are following 2 students. Sorry, it's been a few days since I finished it. Devon and Chia Maker, who are at this really prestigious school, Nivus Private Academy. They're the only 2 black students in school, and one day this person called Aces starts unveiling all of their kind of secrets, and it's Gossip Girl crossed with a fairly recent horror film, but I don't want to say what the horror film is because I feel like it's a massive spoiler for the plot. I just thought this was brilliant. I loved both of the characters. The author also manages to weave some really like big, serious, important topics in with kind of like teenage angst and kind of the pettiness of teenagers sometimes, along with this really intriguing plot as to what was going on at this school. And yeah, I just couldn't put it down. Well, I did put it down because I got 50 pages from the end and I suddenly got really worried that the ending was going to be terrible and like ruin the enjoyment. And I was also so tense about finding out what was going on that like it was almost too tense to read, but obviously I got over myself, picked it up, finished the last 50 pages, absolutely adored this. So yeah, highly recommend that one. I then read an audiobook, so I got my post-it note. I read Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shauna Maguire. This is book 7, I think, of the Wayward Children series, and I just adored it. The Wayward Children series in general is a fantasy portal series about children who have found their doors and stepped through them and lived in worlds that are designed especially for them, so a bit like Alice falling down into Wonderland, and then for one reason or another they have then been expelled from those worlds, and we are following, sorry, I've got cat hair on my face as usual, we are following Eleanor West's school for wayward children, and following the kids when they come out of their worlds and they're kind of readjusting to our world, and then trying to find their way back to their doors and having adventures and stuff. And the series is a little bit up and down for me. My favourite is Beneath the Sugar Sky, and this book follows characters from that branch, because you can read the books in any order really, although I would always suggest starting with number 1 and working through. But there are like various ways the stories branch and like the characters group together, and this one I just absolutely loved. And we're following Cora from a previous story, and she wants to forget. So all of the kids at Eleanor West School are encouraged to remember and try and find their doors, but also like deal with the trauma of being back in this world. But Cora decides that she can't cope with that any longer, and so she asks to be transferred to a school where children forget. And it's about what happens to her, and I just thought it was gorgeously done. There is so much rep. Cora is a plus size character, and there's lots of discussion of that, but not in a kind of really obvious clunky way. I felt like it was woven in really nicely. And I just adored it. That's all I can really say on that one, because obviously I don't want to give spoilers. Plus they're really short. I think I read it on audiobook and it was like just over 3 hours long. But I think the physical books are about 170 pages. So they're really short, but I would really recommend them. I think they are fab. And then my last book of the month wasn't my favourite, unfortunately, and that was Pew by Catherine Lacey. This was a really weird one. So a person is found sleeping, homeless person is found sleeping in a church, and they refuse to speak, and so the people in the village where they are, this is set in America, call them Pew, just for something to call them, and they can't work out what Pew's gender is, what their age is, where they've come from, and Pew doesn't speak. And that was the premise, and I was expecting a story told from somebody else's perspective, so somebody in the village, but actually we are following Pew, so they don't speak to other people, but they do speak to the reader. And it's just about life in this small American town with this slightly weird community of people. And I was reading it and I felt like I wasn't quite smart enough to get what the book was saying. It's very much literary fiction. It's quite heavy literary fiction. It's kind of Sarah Moss kind of vibes. And yeah, it was odd. I gave it 3 stars. I feel like it's well written. I just don't think that I completely got it. So there we go. There was that one. Right, let's do stats and finish off what is probably a very long vlog. So I read 11 books in February, which I think is pretty good. Short month. So I'm pretty happy with that. The number of pages though was lower than normal. I read 3,651 pages, which is 131 per day. And in January I read 141 per day. And I had a school holiday in this month, but there we go. However, my average star rating was 4.27. So I had an amazing month in terms of quality, which is obviously what it's all about. My favourite, I don't know why I've just closed my notebook because I don't know all of the stats I'm going to give. My favourite book of the month has to be Tipping the Velvet. I just absolutely loved this. And it was a surprise 5-star. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know how much I love when a book surprises me in a good way. it's weeks since I finished reading this book and I'm still thinking about it, and yeah, I had just the best time reading it. And my most disappointing was The Number One Ladies Detective Agency by Alexander McCall Smith. This, again, it's a few weeks since I read it. I've already forgotten most of it. It just fell a bit flat for me. It didn't have that kind of cozy mystery vibe that I was expecting, and yeah, this was not my favourite book this month. So there's that. And then my TBR stands at 70 books, which doesn't sound like much, but at the end of January it stood at 71 books. So somehow I have only brought my TBR down by one book. But there we go. We will continue to try in March. So if you made it to this point in the video, let's have the top hat emoji for Tipping the Velvet. I think there's a top hat. Yeah, there is. Do the top hat emoji for me so that I know that you reached all the way to the end of this rambly, messy vlog. Please subscribe if you'd like more of this chaos, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks everyone. Bye.